Enjoy this captivating story titled, The Pursuit of Riches, and share your thoughts. What would you have done? In the small town of Elmsworth, the gentle hum of daily life was often punctuated by the occasional gossip and idle chatter. Among the residents, few stories were as talked about as the marriage of Richard and Emily Hamilton. Richard, a kind-hearted and hard-working man, had fallen in love with Emily the moment he laid eyes on her. She was the town's beauty, with striking blue eyes and a radiant smile that could light up even the dreariest of days. They married young, filled with hopes and dreams of a future together. However, as the years passed, their life together was not as rosy as Emily had hoped. Richard worked tirelessly at the local factory, bringing home enough to get by but never enough to elevate their status or lifestyle. Emily, who had grown accustomed to the attentions and adulations of admirers, began to feel the weight of their modest means. Her dissatisfaction grew with each passing day, especially after the birth of their daughter, Lily. One rainy evening, after Richard had put Lily to bed, he found Emily packing her belongings. "Emily, what are you doing?" Richard asked, his voice trembling. "I'm leaving, Richard," she replied coldly, not meeting his eyes. "Leaving? What do you mean? Leaving? What about Lily? What about us?" Richard's voice broke as he spoke, unable to comprehend the reality unfolding before him. "I can't do this anymore. I can't live like this, struggling day in and day out. I deserve better. I deserve more," she said, finally looking at him with a mixture of anger and resignation. "Please, Emily, we can make this work. We can find a way," Richard pleaded. "No, Richard, I've made up my mind. I need to live my life, and this isn't living," she said, picking up her suitcase and heading for the door. Richard stood there, stunned and heartbroken, as Emily walked out of their home and out of their lives. He could hear Lily's soft breathing from her room, a reminder of the life they had built together, now shattered. In the days following Emily's departure, Richard threw himself into his work and the care of his daughter. Lily, a bright and cheerful child, was his solace in those dark times. He would often take her to the park, where they would sit and watch the ducks swim in the pond. "Daddy, where's Mommy?" Lily asked one afternoon, her innocent eyes searching his face for answers. "She had to go away for a while, sweetheart," Richard replied gently, trying to hide the pain in his voice. "Will she come back?" Lily's question was a dagger to his heart. "I don't know, Lily. But no matter what, I'll always be here for you," he said, hugging her tightly. Richard knew he had to be strong for Lily, even if it meant putting on a brave face every day. He juggled his work and his responsibilities at home, often sacrificing sleep and personal time to ensure Lily was happy and cared for. The people of Elmsworth rallied around him, offering support and help whenever they could. One evening, Richard was visited by his old friend, Tom. "Hey, Richard. How are you holding up?" Tom asked as he walked into the small living room. "I'm managing, Tom. It's been tough, but Lily keeps me going," Richard replied, offering Tom a seat. "Listen, Richard, I've been thinking, there's an opening at the new factory in town. It pays better, and it might give you the chance to get back on your feet," Tom suggested. "Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. I'll look into it," Richard said, feeling a glimmer of hope. Richard applied for the job at the new factory and, much to his relief, he was hired. The increased pay allowed him to provide a better life for Lily. He could finally afford to buy her new clothes, toys, and even enroll her in dance classes, something she had always wanted to do. Life started to look up for Richard and Lily. They settled into a comfortable routine, finding joy in the little things. Richard would take Lily to her dance classes, watching with pride as she twirled and leaped with the other children. Her laughter and happiness became his anchor, keeping him grounded and focused. One day, after Lily's dance class, they stopped by the local ice cream shop. As they were enjoying their treats, Richard noticed a familiar face walk in. It was Emily. She looked different, more polished and glamorous than he remembered. She saw them and hesitated for a moment before walking over. "Richard, Lily," she greeted them, her voice tinged with an awkwardness. "Emily," Richard replied, trying to mask his surprise. "Mommy," Lily exclaimed, jumping off her chair to hug her. "Hello, sweetheart," Emily said, hugging Lily tightly. "How have you been?" "We're doing well," Richard replied, his tone cautious. I've been thinking about you both a lot, Emily said, looking at Richard. Is that so? Richard responded, not sure what to make of her sudden appearance. Yes, I've missed you, she said, her eyes betraying a hint of regret. In the weeks that followed, Emily made an effort to reconnect with Lily. She would visit regularly, taking her out for ice cream or to the park. Richard watched from a distance, unsure of her intentions but unwilling to deny Lily the chance to spend time with her mother. One evening, after Lily had gone to bed, Emily stayed behind to talk to Richard. Richard, I know I hurt you. I know what I did was wrong, she began, her voice trembling. It's in the past, Emily. We've moved on, Richard replied, though the pain was still evident in his eyes. I want to be a part of Lily's life. And maybe we can find a way to be a family again, she said, her eyes pleading. Emily, you left us. You chose a different life. Why now? Richard asked, struggling to keep his emotions in check. I made a mistake, Richard. I thought I wanted more, but I've realized that what I had with you and Lily was everything I needed, she said, tears streaming down her face. Richard looked at her, his heart torn. He had loved her deeply, and a part of him still did. But the hurt and betrayal were not easily forgotten. Emily, I need time to think. I need to know that you're serious about this, he said finally. I understand. I'll wait. I'll do whatever it takes to prove to you that I'm committed, she said, wiping her tears. Emily's return brought a mix of emotions for Richard. He watched as she made an effort to rebuild her relationship with Lily, who was overjoyed to have her mother back in her life. Emily seemed genuine in her desire to make amends, and slowly, Richard began to open up to the possibility of reconciliation. One evening, as they sat on the porch after putting Lily to bed, Emily turned to Richard. Richard, I've been seeing a therapist. I've been trying to understand why I did what I did. And I've realized that I was chasing a fantasy, something that was never real, she confessed. I appreciate you telling me this, Emily. But trust isn't something that can be rebuilt overnight, Richard replied. I know, and I'm willing to take it one step at a time. I just hope that someday, you can forgive me, she said, her eyes filled with sincerity. As months passed, Richard and Emily worked on rebuilding their relationship. They attended counseling sessions together, and slowly, the wounds began to heal. Richard saw a change in Emily, a newfound humility and appreciation for the simple things in life. One day, as they were walking through the park with Lily, Emily took Richard's hand. Thank you for giving me another chance, Richard. I promise I won't let you down, she said softly. I believe you, Emily. And I'm willing to see where this goes, Richard replied, squeezing her hand gently. Lily ran ahead, chasing butterflies, her laughter filling the air. Richard and Emily watched her, a sense of peace and hope washing over them. In the end, they realized that love, forgiveness, and the willingness to start anew were the true riches in life. And together, they embarked on a new journey, one filled with the promise of a brighter future for their family. The decision to forgive and move forward was not without its challenges. Richard and Emily faced scrutiny from the townspeople of Elmsworth. Many were skeptical about Emily's intentions, and whispers of doubt echoed through the community. But Richard and Emily remained steadfast, focusing on their family and their path to healing. One sunny afternoon, Richard and Tom met at the local cafe. It had become a regular meeting spot for the two friends. How are things going with Emily? Tom asked, stirring his coffee. Slowly but surely, we're making progress, Richard replied. It's not easy, but I see the effort she's putting in. I'm happy for you, Richard. It takes a lot of strength to forgive and move on, Tom said with a nod. Thanks, Tom. I just hope we're making the right choice, Richard said, gazing out the window. You're a good man, Richard. And from what I've seen, Emily is trying to be the woman you and Lily deserve, Tom reassured him. Back at home, Emily was preparing dinner when Richard returned. The scent of homemade lasagna filled the air, a stark contrast to the simpler meals they had grown accustomed to. Hey, you're back, Emily greeted him with a smile. Yeah, just catching up with Tom, Richard said, placing his jacket on the chair. Dinner will be ready soon. I made your favorite, she said, her eyes hopeful. Thanks, Emily. It smells wonderful, Richard replied, appreciating the effort she was putting into their family life. As they sat down for dinner, Lily chatted excitedly about her day at school, filling the room with her infectious energy. Richard and Emily exchanged a glance, a silent acknowledgement of the progress they were making. Despite the strides they were making, the shadows of Emily's past still loomed over their relationship. One evening, as Richard was working late at the factory, Emily received a visit from an old acquaintance, Mark, who had always admired her. "Emily, you look as stunning as ever," Mark said, leaning casually against the doorframe. "Mark, what are you doing here?" Emily asked, a hint of annoyance in her voice. "I heard you were back in town. Thought I'd come by and see if you needed anything," he said, his tone suggestive. "I'm married, Mark, and I'm committed to making things work with Richard," she replied firmly. "Come on, Emily, you deserve better than this small-town life. You deserve someone who can give you the world," he said, stepping closer. "No, Mark, I've made my choice. I want my family," she said, her voice resolute. Mark sighed, shaking his head. "You're making a mistake, Emily. But I guess some people never change," he said before walking away. Emily closed the door, her heart pounding. She knew she had done the right thing, but the encounter reminded her of the temptations and choices that had led her astray in the past. Richard noticed a change in Emily after that evening. She seemed more determined, more focused on their family and their future. They continued their counseling sessions and found new ways to connect and rebuild their trust. One weekend, they decided to take a family trip to the countryside, a place where Richard had spent his childhood summers. They rented a small cabin by the lake, a serene escape from the bustle of daily life. "Wow, Daddy, it's so beautiful here," Lily exclaimed as she ran towards the water. "It is, isn't it? I used to come here with my parents," Richard said, a nostalgic smile on his face. As they spent their days fishing, hiking, and roasting marshmallows by the fire, Richard and Emily found themselves rediscovering the love and connection that had initially brought them together. One evening, as they watched the sunset over the lake, Emily turned to Richard. "Richard, I know I've said this before, but I want to say it again. I'm sorry for everything. I'm grateful for your forgiveness and for the chance to be a family again," she said, her eyes glistening with tears. "I'm grateful for you too, Emily. We've come a long way, and I believe in us," Richard replied, holding her close. Returning to Elmsworth, Richard and Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. They continued to work on their relationship, building a foundation of trust and mutual respect. The townspeople gradually saw the changes in Emily and began to accept her back into the community. One day, Richard received an unexpected offer from his boss. The factory was expanding, and they wanted Richard to take on a managerial role, a position that came with a significant pay increase and more stable hours. "Richard, this is a great opportunity for you and your family," his boss said during the meeting. "Thank you. I'll need to discuss it with my wife, but I appreciate the offer," Richard replied, feeling a sense of pride. At home, Richard shared the news with Emily. "That's amazing, Richard. I'm so proud of you," Emily said, hugging him tightly. "It means more stability for us, more time for family," Richard said, smiling. Life in Elmsworth settled into a new rhythm. Richard and Emily found joy in the simple pleasures of family life. They watched Lily grow and thrive, her laughter a constant reminder of the love that bound them together. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching Lily play in the yard, Richard took Emily's hand. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" he said, his voice filled with emotion. "Yes, we have, and I wouldn't trade it for anything," Emily replied, squeezing his hand. The sun set on the horizon, casting a golden glow over their home. Richard and Emily knew that their journey was far from over, but they were ready to face the future together, hand in hand, with love and hope guiding their way. As the seasons changed, so did the lives of the Hamilton family. The leaves turned to shades of amber and gold, and the air grew crisp with the promise of winter. Richard and Emily continued to nurture their relationship, finding strength in their shared commitment to each other and their daughter, Lily. The new managerial role at the factory provided Richard with the stability and financial security he had longed for. With more time at home, he and Emily found opportunities to rekindle their romance. They went on dates, shared quiet moments after Lily was asleep, and discovered new layers to their partnership. They became not just husband and wife, but best friends and confidants. One Saturday morning, the family decided to visit the local farmer's market. The air was filled with the scent of fresh produce and baked goods, and the vibrant stalls added a splash of color to the otherwise gray morning. "Daddy, can we get some flowers for Mommy?" Lily asked, her eyes wide with excitement as she pointed to a stand overflowing with sunflowers. "Of course, sweetheart," Richard replied, lifting Lily so she could pick out the best ones. Emily watched them, her heart swelling with love and gratitude. She walked over to join him, and they spent the morning exploring the market together, laughing and enjoying each other's company. Later that evening, as they sat around the dining table, Emily raised her glass. "To family," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "Thank you for standing by me, for believing in us. I promise to cherish this family and never take it for granted again." Richard and Lily raised their glasses, clinking them together. "To family," they echoed, their smiles reflecting the warmth and love they felt. As the night drew to a close, Richard and Emily tucked Lily into bed. They stood at her doorway, watching her drift off to sleep, her peaceful face a symbol of their hard-earned happiness. "Richard," Emily whispered, turning to him. "I love you. Thank you for giving us this second chance." "I love you too, Emily. And I'm grateful every day for our family," Richard replied, kissing her softly. They walked hand in hand to their bedroom, ready to face whatever the future held, knowing that together, they could overcome anything. Thank you for watching our story of love, forgiveness, and new beginnings. If you enjoyed this journey with Richard, Emily, and Lily, please leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts and any stories you'd like to share. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming tales and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Share this video with your friends and family to spread the message of hope and redemption. Until next time, take care and cherish the ones you love.